There is a town in Lancashire where Victorian mill workers once built terraces so solid they have outlasted 3 monarchies. Today you can rent one for less than £400 a month. The stone is the same. The bay windows still catch the morning light. And most people driving past on the motorway have no idea these places exist. Everyone assumes affordable Britain means soulless new builds on ring road estates or cramped flats above betting shops. But here is what nobody tells you. Scattered across the north and the Midlands are Victorian towns with architecture that would cost you £2,000 a month in Bristol or Brighton. Up here, the same red brick terraces, the same ornate town halls, the same wrought iron bandstands sit waiting, and the rent is under £600. We are counting down 7 Victorian towns where your pension stretches further than you thought possible. One town has a park designed by the same architect who created parts of Central Park in New York. Another has more listed buildings per square mile than Bath. And one place offers seafront living in Victorian grandeur for the price of a modest studio in Milton Keynes. Now, before we dive in, if you find this helpful, tap that subscribe button. You will not want to miss what is coming next. Let us begin with number 7. Burnley sits in the Pennine foothills of East Lancashire, about 25 miles north of Manchester. 40,000 people live here in a town that Victorian cotton made wealthy and 20th century economics nearly forgot. The railway connects you to Manchester in under an hour. Leeds is 90 minutes, and the Yorkshire Dales are close enough for afternoon drives through stone villages and green valleys. What strikes you first in Burnley is the sheer density of Victorian architecture. This was not a town that dabbled in industry. It dominated. At its peak, Burnley produced more cotton cloth than anywhere else on earth. That wealth built thousands of stone terraces climbing the hillsides. It built Townley Hall, a stunning Victorian Gothic renovation of a medieval manor. It built parks, libraries, and a town centre with civic buildings that belong on postcards. The average rent for a 1-bedroom flat here runs between £300 and £350 per month. A 2-bedroom terrace with original features costs around £400 to £450. Council tax for banned. A properties sits at roughly £1,300 annually. That works out to just over £100 per month. Your total housing costs, including rent and council tax, can stay comfortably under £500. The honest reality is that Burnley still carries economic challenges. Parts of the town rank among the more deprived areas in England. The job market remains limited, though this matters less for retirees. Some streets need investment, and you will see that clearly. But regeneration is happening. The town centre has seen millions in restoration funding. Independent shops are returning to historic arcades. A woman who retired here from Surrey 3 years ago described it this way. She was nervous at first because the reputation put her off. Then she visited and walked through Thompson Park with its Victorian glass houses and bowling greens. She saw the terraces with their original cornicing and slate roofs. She realized she could afford a 2-bedroom house with a garden for what her garage cost down south. The community surprised her most. Neighbours actually talk to each other here. What Burnley offers is authentic Victorian industrial heritage at prices that seem like typing errors. You accept limited local employment and ongoing regeneration. In return, you get solid stone houses, remarkable civic architecture, and a community that has not been hollowed out by second home owners. Imagine yourself walking through Thompson Park on a Tuesday morning. The restored Victorian bandstand stands white against green lawns. Older couples stroll past the ornamental gardens. Behind you, the terraces climb the hillside, their chimney pots marking the skyline exactly as they did 140 years ago. Your rent this month was £370. You are wondering why everyone crowds into the southeast. Would you consider a town still rebuilding its economy if the Victorian architecture was this good? Number 6 takes us to the potteries. Stoke-on-Trent sprawls across 6 towns in North Staffordshire, bound together by the ceramics industry that made British pottery world famous. Around 260,000 people live here. The West Coast Main Line puts you in London in 90 minutes. Birmingham is 40 minutes. Manchester is under an hour. For a city of this size, the transport links are genuinely impressive. The Victorian heritage here looks different from Lancashire mill towns. This is ceramics country. The architecture reflects industries built around kilns and clay rather than cotton. You see distinctive bottle kilns preserved between modern buildings, red brick workers housing clusters around former factory sites. Ornate former warehouses line canal basins where pottery once shipped across the empire. Burslem, the mother town of the potteries, has Victorian commercial buildings with decorative tile work you simply do not see elsewhere. Rental costs in Stoke run between £320 and £400 for a one-bedroom property. Two-bedroom terraces average £400 to £480. Council tax band sits around £1,200 a year. Total monthly housing costs can stay under £550 with a comfortable margin. The challenges mirror other post-industrial cities. Stoke regularly appears on affordability lists precisely because prosperity moved elsewhere. The city centre has struggled, though recent investment is changing streetscapes. Some neighbourhoods need patience and selective viewing, but the infrastructure of a proper city exists here. Major hospitals, shopping centres, cultural venues, and universities provide amenities smaller towns cannot match. A retired teacher who moved from Hertfordshire put it bluntly. He spent 30 years paying premium prices to live somewhere boring. His house had no character. His neighbours were never home. Now he lives in a Victorian terrace with original fireplaces, ceiling roses, and a garden twice the size. His rent dropped by over £1,000 a month. He joined a local history group and volunteers at the Ceramics Museum. He has more social contact now than in 40 years down south. Stoke-on-Trent offers city-scale amenities and unique industrial heritage at small town prices. You accept a city still finding its post-industrial identity. In return, you get genuine character, solid housing stock, and infrastructure retirees actually need. Imagine walking along a canal towpath past converted pottery works. A narrowboat slides by, its owner nodding hello. Behind Victorian chimney stacks, the Potteries Museum holds ceramics collections that draw researchers from around the world. Your two-bedroom terrace with original features costs £420 a month. The nearest hospital is 15 minutes away. London is 90 minutes by train if the grandchildren want visiting. Could you see yourself in a city most people only pass through? Number 5 brings us to West Yorkshire. Bradford sits in the Aire Valley, 8 miles west of Leeds. Just over 500,000 people live here, making it one of England's largest cities by population. The Victorian wealth here came from wool. At its peak, Bradford processed more wool than anywhere else in the world. That money built civic architecture to rival any European city. Bradford City Hall is genuinely breathtaking. Italianate Gothic towers rise above a square that hosts markets and events year-round. Cartwright Hall in Lister Park would not look out of place in Vienna. The Alhambra Theatre, restored to Edwardian splendor, hosts touring West End productions. Streets like Little Germany feature former wool warehouses with architectural detailing that property developers elsewhere would market as luxury conversions. Here they often sit underused, waiting. Rents in Bradford run £350 to £430 for a one-bedroom flat. Two-bedroom properties average £420 to £520 depending on area and condition. Council tax band. comes to roughly £1,280 annually. Total monthly housing costs can remain under £600 even for larger properties. Bradford requires honest acknowledgement of its challenges. The city appears regularly in deprivation statistics. Some areas face genuine social difficulties. The centre has struggled with retail decline, though regeneration money is arriving. Integration between communities remains an ongoing conversation. These are real factors that deserve consideration rather than glossing over. Yet Bradford also has assets overlooked in headline statistics. The curry restaurants here rival anywhere in Britain. The cultural diversity brings energy and variety other northern cities lack. Lister Park regularly wins awards as one of England's best public spaces. The Victorian housing stock in areas like Saltaire, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, offers quality that commands London prices in a southern setting. A woman who relocated from Buckinghamshire after her husband died described her decision carefully. She needed to reduce costs on a single pension, but refused to sacrifice quality of life. Bradford seemed unlikely until she visited. Walking through Cartwright Hall, seeing the Hockney paintings, having lunch in a family restaurant where her meal cost £7. She found a one-bedroom flat in a converted Victorian building for £390 monthly. Her neighbours include students, young professionals, and fellow retirees. She has never felt unwelcome for a moment. Bradford offers world-class Victorian civic architecture and genuine cultural richness at prices that reflect decades of being overlooked. You accept a city working through real challenges. In return, you get heritage density that most places cannot match and diversity that keeps life interesting. Imagine sitting on a bench in Lister Park as autumn turns the trees golden. Cartwright Hall rises behind you, its stone glowing in late afternoon light. Families from a dozen backgrounds share the paths. Your flat in a converted Victorian warehouse costs £400 monthly. Leeds is 15 minutes by train. The Dales are 30 minutes by car. You spent decades paying more to live somewhere with less character. Does architectural grandeur matter enough to outweigh challenging headlines? Number 4. Heads to the coast. Grimsby sits on the Humber estuary in northeast Lincolnshire. About 90,000 people live here in a town the Victorians built into the world's largest fishing port. The railway connects you to Doncaster in an hour for connections south, and Lincoln is an hour by car. The coast stretches north toward Cleethorpes with its Victorian promenade and traditional seaside character. The fishing industry shaped everything here. Victorian Grimsby built docks that processed catches from hundreds of trawlers. Fortunes made from fish paid for merchants' houses along tree-lined avenues. The town centre still holds Victorian commercial buildings with the confidence of a place that once mattered internationally. St. James' Church dominates the skyline, its Victorian Gothic revival tower visible for miles. The Grimsby Ice Factory, a vast Victorian cold storage building, stands as the largest surviving structure of its type in the world. Rents in Grimsby often surprise people. One-bedroom flats run from £280 to £350 per month. Two-bedroom houses average from £350 to £450 per month. Council tax band. It's around £1,200 per year. Total housing costs, including everything, can stay under £500 for a proper house near the coast. The fishing industry collapse devastated Grimsby economically. This is not hidden or sugar-coated. The town has spent decades adapting, and that process continues. Some streets carry visible decline. Employment opportunities remain limited. The reputation has suffered from decades of difficult headlines. For retirees living on fixed incomes, none of this necessarily matters in daily terms. For anyone needing work, the picture differs sharply. What has improved is healthcare access and coastal lifestyle benefits. Fresh air, sea views, affordable seafood from the remaining fishing industry, and the particular quality of light that coastal towns possess. Cleethorpes next door offers a traditional seaside promenade, independent shops, and the gentle rhythms of a resort town in winter. A retired fisherman's daughter who returned after 40 years in the Midlands spoke about coming home. Her parents met at the fish docks. She grew up in a terrace that cost her father 2 weeks' wages. That same terrace now rents for £300. The fish and chips are still the best in England. The sunrises over the Humber still stop her in her tracks. Yes, the town has struggled. Yes, some streets look forgotten. But the people who stayed are salt of the earth, and the community has tightened rather than fractured. Grimsby offers coastal Victorian character and seafront access at the lowest prices on this list. You accept a town still recovering from industrial collapse. In return, you get sea air, remarkable architecture, and housing costs that seem almost fictional. Imagine walking along the Cleethorpes promenade as the tide retreats across mudflats. The Victorian pier stretches toward the water. Fishing boats rest at anchor in the middle distance. Your 2-bedroom house with a garden costs £380 per month. Fresh fish from the dock costs less than supermarket prices anywhere else. The sky here is enormous. Lincolnshire skies always are. Would seafront living be worth accepting a town that has known harder times? Number 3 takes us back to Lancashire. Accrington sits in the Hindburn Valley between Blackburn and Burnley. 35,000 people live here in a town built on cotton mills and brick manufacturing. The railway connects you to Manchester in under an hour and to Blackburn in 10 minutes. The M65 motorway runs nearby, linking the East Lancashire towns to the wider network. Accrington's claim to Victorian fame is specific and unexpected. The bricks used to build the Empire State Building came from here. Accrington nori bricks, famed for their density and strength, built iconic structures worldwide. The town itself showcases these bricks in terrace after terrace, climbing the valley sides. Red brick workers' housing shows distinctive, hard engineering character. The Arkwright Mill complex survives as testament to cotton industry scale. The Victorian Market Hall and Town Square hold their dignity despite decades of challenge. Rents in Accrington run remarkably low. 1-bedroom flats average £270 to £340 a month. 2-bedroom terraces range from £320 to £420. Council tax band A sits around £1,250 a year. Total monthly housing costs can stay under £470 for a proper house. The challenges parallel other East Lancashire towns. Economic deprivation ranks high in national statistics. The town centre has seen better days, though improvement projects continue. Employment opportunities remain scarce. These are realities that honest assessment requires mentioning. For retirees drawing pensions rather than seeking work, the calculation differs significantly. What Accrington offers beyond low costs is genuine community cohesion. This is not a transient population. Families have lived here for generations. The football club punches above its weight. Local pride runs deep even when external circumstances prove difficult. The surrounding countryside, moorland and farmland climbing toward Pendle Hill, provides walking and scenery that wealthier areas charge premium prices to access. A retired couple who moved from Essex after visiting friends described their surprise. They expected grimness based on what they had read. They found solid houses with stone lintels and bay windows. They found a market with local traders who remembered their names after 3 visits. They found walks onto the moors starting from their doorstep. Their 3-bedroom terrace cost £410 a month. They heat it for less than their Essex flat. The walls are 2 feet thick. Victorian builders knew what they were doing. Accrington offers exceptional Victorian housing stock and genuine community at the lowest inland prices on this list. You accept a town carrying economic challenges. In return, you get solidity in every sense. Solid houses, solid people, solid value. Imagine standing on the moors above Accrington at sunset. The town fills the valley below, terrace roofs catching golden light. Mill chimneys mark the skyline like monuments to an industrial age. Pendle Hill rises to the north, its outline familiar from centuries of paintings and photographs. Your monthly rent is £360. You walked here from your front door in 20 minutes. Could you find contentment in a town most people have never heard of? Number 2 brings us to County Durham. Hartlepool sits on the North Sea coast in County Durham, 20 miles south of Sunderland. 93,000 people live here, in a town with history stretching back to Saxon times, though the Victorians shaped what remains most visible. The railway connects you to Newcastle in 40 minutes, York in an hour, and Durham City in 30 minutes. The Victorians transformed Hartlepool from a medieval fishing village into a major port and shipbuilding centre. That investment built the headland, a dramatic promontory where Victorian terraces look out over harbour walls and open sea. The town centre holds Victorian commercial buildings with a confidence their builders would recognise. Christ Church on the headland offers Victorian Gothic against North Sea skies. The docks, though quieter than at their peak, retain working character and maritime atmosphere. Rents in Hartlepool average £300 to £380 for one-bedroom properties. Two-bedroom houses run £370 to £460 per month. Council tax band sits around £1,300 annually. Total monthly housing costs, including a proper house with sea proximity, can stay under £550. Hartlepool carries economic challenges common to post-industrial coastal towns. Deprivation statistics rank the borough among more deprived areas nationally. The town centre has struggled with retail decline. Some neighbourhoods require careful selection. The nearby nuclear power station may concern some viewers, though it operates under strict regulation. What Hartlepool offers beyond affordability is genuine coastal character and ongoing regeneration momentum. The National Museum of the Royal Navy maintains a significant presence. A marina development brought new housing and amenities. The headland offers the particular combination of Victorian architecture and sea views that commands premium prices elsewhere. Fresh sea air carries no surcharge here. A retired nurse who relocated from Cambridge put her decision in practical terms. Her pension afforded a one-bedroom flat in a modern block with no character and noisy neighbours. For the same monthly cost in Hartlepool, she secured a two-bedroom Victorian terrace on the headland with views across the harbour. She walks along the sea wall every morning. She joined a local history group investigating Victorian Hartlepool. Her heating bills dropped because coastal winters run milder than inland Cambridgeshire. She wishes she had moved years earlier. Hartlepool offers coastal Victorian living with sea views and maritime heritage at prices that reflect decades of being overlooked. You accept a town still writing its post-industrial story. In return, you get genuine character, improving amenities, and the particular quality of coastal retirement that most people assume requires wealth. Imagine standing on the headland as fishing boats return to harbour. Victorian terraces line the streets behind you, their bay windows facing the sea. Waves break against harbour walls built by Victorian engineers. The coast stretches north toward Sunderland and south toward Whitby. Your two-bedroom terrace costs £420 per month. The nearest beach is a 5-minute walk. You can hear the sea from your bedroom. Does coastal retirement seem possible at these prices? Number 1 takes us somewhere unexpected. Barrow-in-Furness sits at the tip of the Furness Peninsula in Cumbria, jutting into the Irish Sea south of the Lake District. Around 67,000 people live here in a town the Victorians built from almost nothing to become one of the world's great shipbuilding centres. The railway connects you to Lancaster in an hour and to Carlisle in 2 hours. The Lake District National Park boundary lies just 15 miles north. What makes Barrow remarkable is the scale and quality of its Victorian planned development. This was not organic industrial growth. Victorian industrialists laid out a model town with wide boulevards, public parks, and civic buildings designed to impress. The town hall features a clock tower visible across the peninsula. Barrow Park, designed in the Victorian tradition of public improvement, offers formal gardens, bowling greens, and a cenotaph setting that rivals much larger cities. The Victorian terraces here were built for skilled workers, and their construction quality reflects that status. Rents in Barrow average £340 to £420 for one-bedroom properties. Two-bedroom terraces run £400 to £490 per month. Council tax Band A sits around £1,330 annually. Total monthly housing costs can stay comfortably under £580 while securing solid Victorian housing. Barrow requires acknowledging its isolation. The town sits at the end of a peninsula with one main road in and out. Shopping options are limited compared with larger cities. The economy depends heavily on the shipyard, which builds nuclear submarines, and that military connection shapes the town's character. Some find this reassuring. Others may feel differently. Weather off the Irish Sea brings rain more often than sunshine. Yet this isolation protects something valuable. Barrow has not been discovered by commuters or second home buyers. Property prices reflect local wages rather than London equity. The community remains stable and rooted. The Lake District, that landscape of mountains and lakes that visitors pay premium prices to access, sits just 15 miles away. Coniston Water is 30 minutes by car. Windermere is under an hour. A retired engineer who spent his career in shipyards worldwide chose Barrow for his final years. He knows ships and knows what skilled workers build. The terraces here show that care in every detail. Solid walls, proper joinery, rooms proportioned for living rather than maximizing floor space. His two-bedroom terrace costs £450 per month. He drives to Coniston most Wednesdays for walking and lunch. The community welcomed him without question because they understand people who make things. He found his people here. Barrow-in-Furness offers Victorian planned town quality with Lake District access at prices that seem impossible. You accept genuine isolation and dependence on a single major employer. In return, you get architectural coherence, community stability, and proximity to England's most celebrated landscape at a fraction of what the Lake District itself commands. Imagine driving home from an afternoon walking in the Langdale Valley. Mountains recede in your mirror as you descend toward the coast. Barrow appears on its peninsula, Victorian buildings catching the evening light. Your terrace waits with its original fireplaces and bay windows. Rent this month was £430. The lakes are 30 minutes away whenever you want them. Most people pay 10 times more to live this close to national park beauty. This is why Barrow takes the top spot. Victorian quality, remarkable affordability, and the Lake District as your back garden. The isolation that kept prices low also preserved something worth finding. So there we are. 7 Victorian towns where your pension stretches further than estate agents want you to know. Burnley with its mill heritage, Stoke with its ceramics history, Bradford with its wool-fueled civic grandeur, Grimsby with its fishing port character, Accrington with its world-famous bricks, Hartlepool with its coastal maritime atmosphere, and Barrow with direct proximity to the Lake District. Each carries honest challenges. Economic histories that brought affordable prices also brought social difficulties. This is not hidden or glossed over, but each also offers something increasingly rare in modern Britain. Victorian architecture built to last, communities that have not been hollowed out, and monthly costs that leave room in retirement for living rather than merely surviving. Please watch the video next, and don't forget to subscribe.